Weissmann is here, former Justice Department prosecutor, senior member of Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation, now lucky for us, an MSNBC legal analyst. Andrew, tell me, I wish I could summarize, but I'm not that good of an editor, your tweets of the day. So just please recap some of them for me. Just do it for all of us in the flesh.
Sure. Well, maybe one of them sort of follows up on what my colleague Brandon has been talking about, and that is this issue of the executive branch versus the judicial branch, and the way in which this judge got around that issue was by saying, I don't actually believe these are necessarily classified. In other words, everything Brandon is saying is totally right. And that's why I think you have the right and the left criticizing this decision, because the right obviously believes in executive power and limited role of the judiciary. Her way around that is to say, you know what, who says these are classified? And that's where one of my tweets was basically her saying, okay, I know it walks like a duck. I know it talks like a duck. I know it quacks like a duck. I know that the plaintiff has an affidavit that says it's a duck. I know that the defense isn't challenging that it's a duck, but I don't think it's a duck. So essentially, what she did is, even though there is no dispute in the record before her that these documents are classified, namely that the former president, although he has been saying to the media that he declassified this information, that has not been said to this court. And the government repeated that over and over again. And she just did not follow the record. And I think that is a really, real, weak spot. And I agree with Brandon that that is going to be the central part of their appeal. I also, in tea leaf reading, agree that it's probably going to be a narrow appeal on that issue so that they can sort of move forward quickly. But that's sort of a quick summary of a tweet.
No, we're gonna get through all of them while we have you. But let me just press you on what you just said. I mean, it feels like, again, there are two instances where she's overreading what the ex-president is asking for. One is she seemed to recognize the first time around more privileges than he asserted. And now the second, he's not claiming the material isn't classified. He didn't make that claim. He just said, exactly. I could have declassified them if I wanted to. He didn't say he did. So where is she finding, and how are we to interpret her judicial philosophy or her approach to this case if she's reading more than he's asserting?
So I think she gave up what she really was getting at here at the end of her opinion when she said, you know what? The fact that he is the former president, his prior position does make a difference. And I think what she is doing is according him more than any of us would ever get in court. I think that was the most outrageous statement. It is a violation of a judge's oath of office to treat every individual the same. The fact that he is the former president doesn't mean he gets treated worse, but it does not mean, as she did, that he's treated better. And so I think that's why we're in this position, is that she is sitting there, I think, scared to death to rule against him. I think the reason she's appointing a special master when she herself could do this work is that she wants to sort of distance this so that she doesn't have fingerprints on if this ultimately goes against him, which I think, of course, the special master here is going to rule against Donald Trump. She can sort of have distance from it. It's really just a disgraceful opinion that her first one and her second one.
Andrew, what are we to make of Mr. Deary? He's someone that DOJ didn't suggest. He wasn't one of their candidates, but they agreed to him. What can we expect, if expectations are still a thing for any of us on this story, from him?
Sure. So I know Judge Deary fairly well. I practiced for many, many years in the Eastern District of New York. That's sort of Brooklyn, U.S. Attorney's Office. He was the U.S. Attorney there. He also was a judge for many, many, many years. He is universally beloved. He is somebody who the defense bar and the prosecutors both want to appear in front of, and that's saying a lot. Everyone knows that he is compassionate and fair and wise. And I also think one attribute that he has will come in very handy. He is an extremely good read of people and has very good interpersonal skills. And I think for a judge as new as Judge Cannon, I think having somebody like Judge Deary to help her out in this situation, to be a bit of a role model, and I also think it'll just be very hard for her to overrule him. It's not impossible, but you have somebody who's just so much more qualified and esteemed making the decisions in the first instance that it will allow her to take a back seat to Judge Deary.